Last month, I sat across from a buyer who had already made an offer on a home in Pearland. Nice house, good price on paper, and then I pull up the FEMA flood loss history on that specific address. That property had flooded twice and was not in a designated flood zone. The seller disclosed nothing, and the buyer almost signed a contract on a $375,000 home that was a $60,000 liability waiting to happen. That is not a scare tactic. That is what the data actually shows happening in several Houston suburbs right now. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which 5 suburbs you need to avoid completely in Houston. This is no flop, no hype. Let's get into it. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 Houston suburbs where out-migration data, flood history, and market conditions are all pointing in the same direction. Then I'm going to tell you where the smart monies or smart buyers are actually going instead. And last, what this means for you, whether you're buying or selling in 2026. Let me be very clear here. This is not Houston is falling apart. Houston is still one of the strongest metros in the country, but inside that metros, there are pockets where the math is actively working against you. And my job is not just to help you find a home. My job is to help you avoid expensive mistakes. Every data point I'm giving you comes from HAR, FEMA flood map, Harris County Appraisal District, and U.S. Census Bureau migration data. So let's run the numbers together. Suburb number 1 that you want to avoid completely. Number 1, Pearland. Pearland has been one of the most popular Houston suburbs for a decade, and I want to be fair, it is still a solid community. But here's what the data is showing. A significant portion of Pearland, specifically Shadow Creek Ranch and areas near Hickory Slough, has serious flood history. These are properties that flooded during Harvey in 2017 and again in 2019. And the critical problem is this: many of them are not in a designated FEMA special flood hazard zone, which means standard homeowners insurance does not cover them, and sellers are not legally required to disclose flood damage in Texas unless they know about it. Now, let me give you the full carry cost picture. You buy a $375,000 home in Pearland. Brazoria County property tax rate runs approximately 2.3% to 2.7%. That is roughly $8,600 to $10,100 per year. Call it $720 to $840 per month just in taxes before your mortgage and insurance. If that property has any flood exposure, flood insurance through the NFIP adds anywhere from $1,200 to $3,500 per year on top of that. That is your PITR reality, and buyer who run that math, they are moving on. What is your alternative in this case? Full share, same price range, newer construction, 4-band ISD, meaningfully lower flood exposure. If you select the right community, that is why Pearland's days on market are running a little bit longer than the average Houston metros like full share. Never buy in Pearland without pulling the flood loss history on the specific address. It is a free FEMA lookup. It takes just 5 minutes. Do it and you're going to thank yourself later. Number 2, Spring, specifically the Klein ISD area and the Champions Corridor. Spring used to be one of the best family destinations in Greater Houston. Affordable homes, strong school, easy access to downtown on I-45. That story is changing. 3 data points. First, crime. Harris County publicly available crime data pulled neighborhood scout for zip code 77379 and 77388 shows a huge specific increase in property crime or violent crime over the last 3 years. This is not a perception problem. This is a trend problem. Second, school ratings. Klein ISD is still a solid overall district, but specific feeder campuses in the Southern Spring area have seen rating declines on grade schools. Before you buy, look up the exact campus your address feeds to, not the district average. The district average can hide what is happening at the individual school level. Third, and this is the one I see buyers miss every single time, the homes are dated. We are talking 1990s and early 2000s construction. You are inheriting a HVAC system, roofing, foundation that are 20 to 30 years old in Houston humidity. That deferred maintenance has a dollar cost to you. Run the numbers. A $325,000 home in Spring, Harris County property tax at approximately 2.2%. That is $71.50 per year, $596 per month before insurance and HOA. For that same monthly payment, buyers are moving to Conroe and Willis and getting a house with a new roof, new HVAC, and a new foundation. That is the math. That is why Spring is cooling. Suburb number 3 here is the inner Katy, the 77449 zip code and the 77450 zip code. Number 3, inner Katy, and let me be very specific. Like I say, I'm talking about the 77449 and 77450 zip code. This section of Katy that were developed in the 80s and 90s. Katy is still one of the top school districts in Texas. I'm not here to argue about that, okay? But here is what I am seeing in my own transaction data. Buyers who 5 years ago were calling me asking about inner Katy are now asking me about full share and Brookshire. Here is why. Inner Katy carries combined tax rates that include not just Harris County property tax, but municipal utility district fees or more taxes layered on top. Some other inner Katy neighborhood carry effective tax rate of 2.8% to 3.2%. When you start that it all together on a $350,000 home, that is a $9,800 to $11,000 taxes. That is $800 to $900 a year in just in a month in just taxes. Now move 15 minutes further west to Fouché. You are staying in Fort Bend County. You are staying in Lamar CISD, which competes head to head with KDISD academically. You get new construction, you get newer infrastructure, and some Fouché community carry lower effective tax rate because they do not have the same legacy MUD debt stack on them. The math is straightforward. If inner Katy's brand is what you are paying for, know the true cost of that brand because it is showing up in your monthly payment, whether you see it or not. Suburb number 4 I'm going to state here is the older sections of Missouri, Texas. Number 4, part of Missouri, specifically the older Quail Valley and Willow Bend neighborhoods, not Sienna. Sienna is a different story. Here is the problem with older Missouri City in 2026. Fort Bend County has some of the highest property tax rates in Texas. We are talking about 2.4% to 2.7% on a $350,000 home. That is $8,400 to $9,450 per year before your HOA, and some of these Missouri City HOA are running $150 to $250 per month. Your monthly carrying cost before your mortgage principal and interest is already $850 to $1,000 on a 35-year-old home. Here is where the capital allocator mindset matters. What is the appreciation trajectory of a 1985 or 1990 built home in older Missouri City versus a new build in Fort Bend, ISD, 5 miles away? When I pull the comps, older Missouri City homes are appreciating at a meaningfully slower rate than comparable new construction in the same county. So you are paying premium taxes, premium carrying costs on an asset that is not keeping pace with the newer inventory it competes against. When you go to sell, that is not a reason to never buy there, but it is a reason to run a full PITI analysis, okay? Not just the mortgage payment before you make that decision. Suburb number 5 here is a Clear Lake / a League City. This is a flood zone, Clear Lake and League City, number 5. And this one surprises people. Parts of Clear Lake and League City. The Clear Lake area is a great community. They have NASA, National Aeronautic Space Administration, waterfront properties, good schools in areas like Freshwood and Clear Creek ISD. I'm not saying the entire area is a problem. I'm saying the flood risk map in this corridor has fundamentally changed, and most buyers do not know it yet. In 2022, FEMA implemented risk rating of 2.0. This is a new flood insurance pricing methodology that prices risks on a property by property basis using elevation data, distance from water, and historical claim of frequency instead of a blanket zone rating. and what happened in Galveston County and Southern Harris County zip codes. Homeowners who budgeted $900 per year for flood insurance open renewal letter showing $2,400 to $3,200. In some cases, over $4,000 per year. That is $200 to $260 per month, and it did not show up in any mortgage calculator they ran before they bought. On a $400,000 home in Klein with a Galveston or GCAD tax rate of approximately 2 to 3% plus the new NFIP premium reality, your true PIT is thousands of dollars a year higher than what zero payment estimate shows you. Never, and I mean never, buy in a Gulf adjacent Houston suburb without pulling the FEMA flood zone designation and the property NFIP claims history. Both are public records, both are free, and what you do not know in real estate can cost you a lot of money. Real quick, if this data breakdown is saving you from an expensive mistake, hit that like button right now. It helps reach more Texans who need this information, okay? And let's get back to the final things I want you to understand here. So where are the buyers leaving this 5 suburb actually going? 3 destinations I'm seeing in my own data consistently right now. Full share, Fort Bend County, new construction, more land, Lamar ISD, the Cross Creek Ranch and Palo Ranch communities are among the most searched on HAR right now. You get newer infrastructure, better flood position in most communities, and comparable school to Katy ISD without the legacy MUD tax stack. Magnolia and Montgomery County, lower property taxes, acreage lots, smaller school district, which for a lot of families is actually a positive thing to them. There is a significant development pipeline in Magnolia right now that is going to change that community in the next 5 years. Buyers getting in ahead of that growth are making a smart capital allocation decision. Conroe and Willis, the Lake Conroe corridor, Woodland Hills in Willis, Chambers Creek, master plan communities at a lower price point than the Woodlands, and they are moving fast for a reason. The pattern is clear. Buyers are optimizing for 3 things: newer construction, lower flood exposure, and better tax to value ratio. And where are all 3 all aligned right now is north and west of the loop. What this means for you as a buyer or as a seller. So what does it mean for you in 2026 and beyond? If you are a buyer, you have a real estate leverage right now in all 5 of those cooling suburbs, but leverage without information is dangerous. Before you write any offer in Greater Houston, run the full PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance with the actual property tax rate for that specific address, the actual flood zone designation, and the actual HOA plus MUD fees, not the zero estimate, okay? The actual numbers, those 4 components together will tell you whether a house is actually affordable or just looks affordable at the headline price. If you are a seller in one of those areas, pricing correctly and presenting well is the entire game right now. You are competing with new construction. Buyers coming in today are running the math. If you price for 2022 and present like it is 2019, you will see. I have sellers in this exact market who price right, stage correctly, and were under contract in 30 days. Price it right, market it hard. The buyers who are going to look back in 10 years and say they made the smartest real estate decision of their life. They are the people who ran the data today, not the people who went by what their co-worker told them at lunch. Don't be that person who buys the wrong suburb because you skip the math and you listen to social media hype and all of the noise. If you want me to break down the PITI on a specific Houston area, neighborhood, or address, drop the suburb in the comments right now and I will read every single one and I will respond accordingly. And if you're thinking about buying or selling in the Houston market, comment the word Houston and I will personally reach out to you. Hit the subscribe and I will see you in the next one, because what you don't know in real estate can cost you a lot of money. And I will see you in the next video.